Hello everybody and welcome back to Monster Hunter World. Today we got a fairly unusual video set up, mainly because I forgot something, but we had technical difficulties toward the very end of this session. This session was originally 80 minutes long. I'm cutting out a lot of the fluff, so this is going to be kind of a lean Let's Play, shall we say, but I don't want to be here doing this for like years, so that's why we're doing this way. So yeah, we got our next quest here. Basically, it's going to be taking down Pukei. You remember Pukei, the thing that just kind of pukes poison all over the place? Yeah. That's what we're going to be fighting. So, just going to have to actually get around to doing that now. For those who are wondering, for a little sneak peek of ahead of time, and it's quite a sneak peek ahead of time, I finally got my earplug set. Most new players have no idea what earplugs even are. If you're a greatsword user, they are great. They are beyond anything else that you probably will want. I say that knowing I was one of the guys that before said, you can just tackle through roars. Yeah, but at least with me it's not 100%, so I like having the earplug set. So I guess you know what armor I'm wearing, but if you don't know who drops it, I guess it is not a spoiler anyway. So yeah, we're going to be taking Pukei down. Now, this was a lot more rough than I remember it being. I guess that's a spoiler. You didn't do very well. No, not really. That's not to say that maybe I carded 3 times. I guess you'll have to watch to find out, won't you? We're going to be skipping all that, the food eating stuff, because it took me like 3 or 4 minutes to go, which one do I want to eat? And I didn't really want to sit here staring at my, my avatar sitting at a table, so just cut that out. And we're also, I know I'm skipping a lot of stuff here, but this is going to be a 40-minute video anyway, so hopefully you don't mind that. So yeah, we're going to be skipping ahead to when I initially find Pukei here in about 10 seconds. The reason is because it took me an extraordinarily long time to find it. I think it took me something like 10 minutes to find it or something along those lines. I had to cut out, so that's why we're doing it that way. So we're going to be finding him in a few seconds here, and after that we will be fighting a poison-throwing menace to society. Here he is. He's way up here. By the way, if I have the northern camp, I recommend you go to the northern camp first. I didn't. I eventually relocated there first as fast travel, but... By the way, I hadn't picked up this tip yet. I think I even said it before about how tackle gives you hyper armor. It also gives you earplugs. So if you can time it so when something can just roar and then you tackle, that is going to open you up for a lot more true charges. And true charges are your main source of damages, so you want to do that. You might go, but Barok, you're just kind of doing uncharged attacks. Yeah, and the reason for that is because I have absolutely no idea when to swing with this thing. Like I said, this entire Let's Play is going to be basically my first time fighting monsters, and it's not pretty as a greatsword user. A lot of times you're going, when do I charge? When can I even do it without getting hit? And most of the time, the answer to that is, I guess I'll just swing by not even charging, because at least that's the fastest one we got. Also, I hate when he does this. You should be able to utilize the environment if you actually paid attention beforehand, and actually use your camera in an intelligent way. I would have hit him there, but I didn't do that. It was kind of a spur of the moment. I wonder if I can do this. I think he was around here. I think usually he's not good enough to hit the target. Now poison is absolutely terrible. Not because of the sheer damage it does, which does do a decent amount of damage, don't get me wrong. The problem with it is, if you want to cure it, you better have a cleansing booster. The problem with it is, you don't get the cleansing booster until like Hunter rank 14. Which is probably around 40 to 50 hours after this. So you gotta drink an antidote. Drinking an antidote, as you saw, was extraordinarily slow. So, yeah, you really want to try and minimize that whole being poison thing. Unfortunately, since I didn't know his moveset, kind of hard to do that. But in theory, you shouldn't be getting hit by a lot of these things. But, oh well. That's learning monsters in Monster Hunter, Dark Souls, any kind of action RPG, you gotta try and learn movesets. The problem with it is I'm kind of stubborn and I don't really do that a lot of times. Or I think I can just power through things, which that would have worked right there if for some reason the air mist didn't all of a sudden push me backwards. I don't think it should have, but it did. I've been known to just tank things just to try and get a true charge opportunity. A lot of times it works. Of course, those times I usually take unnecessary damage, but hey, it works. That's what I love about the Greatsword. Risk and reward. It's one of the riskiest if you play aggressively, but the rewards are so great. Okay, so I get. Wait, how far? I can't even check how far I've edited forward. Okay, apparently we're not cutting here. I just showed the entire chase because it's like apparently not that far. Oh, I still got another 55 minutes of commentating, and I have absolutely no clue what in the hell I'm saying. This is going to end up great. You know, at this rate, I might not even get a chance to actually watch the whole thing through again, because it takes such a long time to do it. So, if the commentary is subpar, I'm sorry, I'm in a bit of a schedule tonight. So, here we are. He's in, I think that's rage mode, or rather, he's enraged. I say that because of the red, like, hue to his face. I don't think he normally does that, or has that. But of course, now that I've seen his moves at least once before, it's a little easier to dodge them and, you know, not get poisoned to hell and back. I mean, I guess I've already said this with every other of the other two sessions, so I guess I should just not keep talking about how easy it is after you've seen a move once to not get hit by it. It's pretty obvious. You'll also notice, I do remember this for a fact, I just kind of leave that tail there. Do not expect me to pick up that tail, and I'll tell you exactly why. One, I didn't really care about low-rank materials. Two, I kind of forgot about it. And three, I didn't really care enough to remember it. So, yeah, I'm never picking up that tail. It doesn't really matter. I'm just warning you ahead of time. Also, this is a lot of new hunters would just start panicking. Oh crap, I have a Great Jagras and a Pukei, and my health's low. I guess I should probably run away. That will work. It will work. But you gotta try and utilize these opportunities to try and, while they're, you know, distracted, to do something yourself. Of course, it's a little easier said than done if you can actually, like, take the time to do so, but if not, well, you can just kind of wing it. Sometimes it'll work like that. Winging it's generally not a piece of advice I give too often in Monster Hunter. Normally you want to be prepared, not just kind of see what happens, but yeah, that, as I said before, the mounting technique is definitely going to be a big staple of this Let's Play, because by myself, I need to get that thing on the ground, and a mount is pretty much the surest way of doing that. You don't always get the big level 3 charge attack to knock them down. Sometimes they'll just fall down, which is a little disappointing, of course. But as long as it's on the ground, I can do something right there. Now, as for the Pukei himself, yeah, once his tail's cut off, his biggest problem is, well, he's about like any other wyvern. He can tackle, he can do a little circle tail sweep, he can, which won't be very far, considering his tail's cut off, but, you know, he's kind of a pushover once his tail's cut off. And his tail is one of the flimsier things I've ever seen. The only problem is it's kind of small, so if you're trying to go at it from an angle, it can be a little hard to hit. But if you're going at it from the side, it is very, very easy to hit, so long as your spacing is, well, good. And spacing is something you will want to work on. As a greatsword user, I'm still working on it. Because I'll tell you, there is nothing sweeter than waking up an enemy while it's sleeping there. With the last hit of your true charge, I made the mistake a lot of times, like, throughout the series. When I woke something up, I hit it with the first hit, because if you notice the true charge, you hit twice. There's the first little cartwheel, and then the big slam. You don't want to hit it with the first cartwheel. Because the first hit on a sleeping enemy, to my knowledge, I think it does... It's a 50% more damage or double damage. It's a lot more damage, I know that much. My personal highest I've ever seen on that was like 832 damage. When I get the spacing just right. One time it outright killed the thing. I was like, well, I guess that thing didn't have much health. But yeah, if you're a dual sword user or a long sword user, please. If there's a great sword user and they know halfway what they're doing, please don't wake it up. Let them wake it up. They do so much more damage. And it's on the ground. They should be able to aim at it, but whatever. I get people get impatient. Oh, there are things right here. I'll just start swinging. I understand that. We're all hunters. We want to kill the shit out of it. But try and, you know, not do that. Also, you can use these, I don't know what they're called, spore puffs. This little cloud thing. You hit the plant and a little smoke screen comes up. You can use that to great advantage with the greatsword. Because a lot of times they'll just go, where'd he go? Well, then you get a free charge off. I don't utilize it near enough. Also, there are times when enemies get tired and they just stand there. In my experience, they only do that after running about 60 yards in the opposite direction, and then they stop to be an ass. But sometimes they'll do it near you. Rarely. Most of the time they run away before they do it, though. Also, I just like jumping attacks. It's pretty cool, so that's why I like doing that. That was pretty easy, all told, but... Oh, man. Watching all these back, it's just so hard to watch it back, because I guess I've gotten a little better over 60, 70 hours of playing. You'd hope I would, right? But going back and watching how timid and downright bad I was at times like this. Oh, man. Not tooting my own horn now, but, oh. At least I try and do really kick-ass things now. Like, I'm hardly seeing any tackling into, you know, true charges. I'm hardly seeing any of that. I'm mainly doing the 1-2-3 combo. Which is fine for, you know, like, constant DPS. But that's not really what the greatsword's supposed to be. The greatsword's supposed to be kind of like, you know, the big burst DPS. But I do like the level 1 charge. That's why I have, that's why I prefer crit draw. Though right now I think I only have 2 points in crit draw, but it is a very easy way of getting consistent damage. But, so I guess that's just a playstyle thing, but... Ah, well. I mean, I'm only hitting for like, what, 100 damage right now on a critical spot. Not a critical, on a weak spot truce charge. Man alive, I can't believe I ever did that little damage with the greatsword. Also, in the beginning, let me just put it this way. In every Monster Hunter game, the beginning is always the most difficult part. If you're a new player playing this and you go, this game is difficult as hell, trust me, you go a little longer, it won't be near so difficult. It'll still be difficult on some fights. But your gear is kind of a limiting factor in that department as well. Like, if you notice, my greatsword doesn't even have green sharpness yet. That sucks, especially the next fight. The next fight, you really want at least green sharpness. So in the next fight, if you're using a greatsword, I might actually recommend you use the iron set, because I think that will give you green sharpness, and which will be better for this next fight overall. Because next time, or next quest, rather, we're going to be doing the best kind of quest available. And you know what kind that is. The kind I always go off on. Yes, it's an escort quest. No, it's not what you're thinking. It's actually a bit more fun than that, escort quest. They do give you a little bit of freedom to do what you want in that one. But you're going to find out I'm about as, well, creative as... I'm not creative at all. I didn't do that. The people who played the game already go, oh, I bet I know what he did. Yeah, I bet you do know what I did, because I'm not exactly a rogue. I'm not exactly subtle a lot of times. Anyway, welcome to the Wildspire Wastes, our first new area of the game, and I have to say, one of my favorite locales for hunting there is. There's plenty of sliding, there's plenty of different environments. There's the swamp, which I don't like. There's the desert, there's neat little corridors, there's different elevations. It's one of my favorite areas, without being too overly vertical, I might add, like ancient forest. But yeah, this is basically just a lore thing. You don't really... There's like one fight. There are 2 fights in this. One fight. Might be 2 fights, depending. If you're like me or not. Hopefully you're not. Anyway, yep. Whole job is just basically gather as much crap as you can until they get to their destination. That, I didn't want to know that. Well, you know it now. You'd found it out, except you would have found it over a long, slow period. I didn't cut any of this out because, well, dialogue. We all like dialogue. We all like a little bit of character progression, even if they are researchers we will never care about ever again. But we want to know a little bit about them now. Right? Right. So, yes. Walking. What else can I say about the Wildspire Wastes? There's a lot of dangerous things here, obviously. I can think of a couple off the top of my head. Namely Diablos, but he's not so dangerous anymore. Hell, even the amped up Diablos doesn't really hurt anymore. And I'm talking about high rank Diablos now, not low rank. Trying to think what other things are even here that I don't want to spoil too much, but you know Diablos was here anyway from the beta footage anyway, so I don't mind too much about that. There's the fishy. I don't know if he's actually a fish, but I mean, you saw him in the beta as well. He's in the swamp. There's Kuluyaku. Why I remember his name now is beyond me, but I remember it now. What else is normal here? Beetlejuice is here sometimes. Y'all know who Beetlejuice is. Don't say his name 3 times. Otherwise, he'll show up on a bombing run. No, seriously, I tried that one time. No joke. I went into a place where it said, you know, he's here. And I went into, like, the most common meeting area in the entire game. Nothing was there, like, in the entire stage. They're not, like, in the big quicksand area. You know what I'm talking about. And I wish I was lying when I said this. I did say the name 3 times, and lo and behold, I look up in the sky, and, oh, damn. I was like, it was a real show. It really works. Nah, but I think that's an urban legend. But it was really confirming. It was like anecdotal evidence to the max. Some people are going, who in the hell is Beetlejuice, and why does he keep calling things Beetlejuice? Apparently you didn't grow up in the 90s. Or was it the 80s? Technically the movie came out in the 80s, but the animated series which got me into it came out in the 90s, I think. Well, anyway, we're getting off topic now. Because I don't know what in the hell to talk about with this thing. Impressive wagon pushing action. What do you want me to say about this? There's nothing to say about it. Except my weapon sucks. Oh, yeah, except my weapon sucks right now. I don't even have green friggin' sharpness. I really should have cut some of this out, shouldn't I? Oh, but Barok, you've already made this Let's Play lean enough. You're going to be cutting out eating. You're going to be cutting out looting. You're going to be cutting out tracking the monster. You're going to be... Well, yeah, but... Yeah, you heard that. See, I was thinking, oh, I'll just, you know, while they're pushing along, I'll just do whatever and try and get as much as I could, but all of a sudden, Rathian. Now, Rathian's no stranger to me. I fought many a Rathian. Now, what you're supposed to do here is not what I'm going to do. What you're supposed to do, I think, is you're supposed to hide one of these canopies and crouch and then, like, throw your little pissant slinger thing and then distract it. I don't do that. I'm saying, here, look at me, bub. Don't look at them, look at me. That's the way you do business in these things. Are you actually trying to kill it? Maybe. Maybe. Maybe not. What in the... Oh, that's... Never mind. Yeah, and if it wasn't obvious enough, they even give you a little bit of hints. Run! Go, go, go! And I'm thinking, I'm not going, I'm kicking it. Okay, maybe now I might go. No, really, that was the thought process. I'm not leaving, I'm kicking its ass. Oh, hell. Okay, I'll run. When I realized how much damage it did. And how little damage I was doing to it, I figured, not worth picking that fight. I'm not good enough yet. No, my gear's not good enough for my skill level. Of course, I thought, oh good, I'm kind of just leading the Rathian right to them. Thankfully, plot armor exists in this mission, because he just kind of goes, that's too far. I don't want to follow him. Or her, rather. She might have smacked me once, but it didn't really hurt, you know? So why even keep following him? By the way, don't ever expect that to happen in expeditions or any other mission ever again, to my knowledge, because if you hit something like that, it's going to be chasing you pretty much forever, a lot of times. It's kind of a disservice they did to the player there, because it kind of taught them, if you run away, they give up. No, they don't give up. They never give up. They never surrender. They're like that one dude in... Oh, damn, what's that? They're like that one dude in Galaxy Quest, Tim Allen's character. By the way, I had no idea how to get to that. I figured it out right after, in case you were laughing, going, he doesn't know how to get to that. I figured it out. I just don't like using the slinger. Personally, I don't like the slinger. I think the slinger in practice is fine, but there's a reason I don't play the bow guns. I don't like shooters on controllers, so yeah. I don't like the slinger. It does have its good uses, though, that I didn't know about at this point in the game. I guess I'll just tell you now, because I don't think I went over this yet. By the way, if you break a bunch of stuff off an enemy, you might see red things on the ground, or white things. Pick up both of these. But mainly the white things are always like materials. Red things are, depending on the monster, it'll be a different kind of slinger ammunition. So what you want to do is pick it up, shoot it, and more than likely it will stagger it. So obviously that has its own applications you can use it with. You can just, knock something out of the sky. But usually flash bangs or flash pods are better for that. You can interrupt it during a charge. I've done that a few times off of things I'm not going to say the name of yet. But it's something I didn't know at this point in the game. If I did know, it would have been a lot easier. But since you're starting out, presumably, hopefully this will help you. So remember, if you see red things on the ground from a boss you fought or something that broke off, pick it up, put it in your slinger, shoot it at it. More than likely, it'll do extra damage. Stumble it, it's really helpful. Ah, yes, this cutscene. I don't remember much about this cutscene, except it was like really over the top, at least by my standards, I guess. But I guess by most people's standards today, it's rather tame, but ugh. Yay, researchers are happy, I guess. But that never lasts. I don't know of a single time in any kind of game like this where something like this would not get interrupted. There he is. Now this fight was made much worse by my choice in weapons. You remember when I said you really want to use something with at least a green sharpness level? You really want to use something with a green sharpness level. I'm not. This takes a lot longer because of it. Woo. Something you can never really accomplish in-game. Woohoo! I mean, technically, I guess you could, but who the hell can aim that well? I can never do that if I actually attempted to do so. Now, Barroth doesn't have a lot of moves. Barroth just kind of relies on his armor. If you don't have a green sharpness weapon, you kind of bounce almost everywhere. The only place you can hit without bouncing, I believe, is when he's not covered in mud. And yeah, you basically either have to knock the mud off, like I'm attempting to do with the tail, which I don't think works. Normally you want to use like a water moss. I know they have those around the place. If you go through the swamp, you can usually find water moss. The reason? Because water moss will just wash off the mud, so then his armor's gone. And then once that's gone, I think he's weak to fire. So his weakness kind of changes. He's one of the only monsters I know of that actually changes his weakness, but he does change his weakness. Also, that little headbutt thing he did right there, that can sling mud at you, which can give you water rot, I think, or water blight, I think it is. But it's also a fantastic time. That was a really bad time to do that. That should have been a true charge. It's also a fantastic time to tackle and get a true charge in. The only problem is you kind of have to either make sure that he doesn't have mud on him, because if he does have mud on him, a lot of times you'll back up onto the, like when you do your true charge thing, you back up a couple steps. A lot of times you'll back up right into the mud, and it's infuriating. Oh man, it's annoying as hell. Yeah, let this be a lesson to you kids. Bone weapons, not always the answer, because it's so bad against armored things like Barroth. Like that, that's really good timing. The problem with it is, I have very little damage because I have no sharpness. But it's the best of a bad situation. If I'd actually had a green level greatsword, this probably would have been done in half the time just because I wouldn't be bouncing and doing like piss all damage. I'm just saying. I gotta keep harping on that because it was my mistake. Of course, I had no idea I was fighting Barroth, so I guess it couldn't really be avoided, now could it? Can't really rightly prepare for something you have no idea what it is, can you? He's getting ready to roar. Oh, no, I guess he's not. I don't even know his tells now. Then again, I don't really need to know his tells now. I can kind of just brute force him without paying a damn bit of attention to anything with my gear level. Seriously, I don't think he does like jack for damage against me right now. But when you first meet him, though, he does truckloads of damage. Oh, that was so dirty. You're wondering how I missed that. He reared his head up there by right where I was aiming. I missed, and then he slammed his head down. That was well played on his part. Or, conversely, I guess you could just say, no, you were just really, really bad. Yeah. Yeah, it was. To be fair, I guess I was in that. It didn't look like it to me at the time, but I was. Like I said, a lot of times, you'll knock them down, and you're not ready for it. And you just basically wasted the whole thing. It's oh so annoying when you knock something down, and then the worst part is when you knock something down and you're right beside it, and then it falls like 20 feet in the wrong direction, and then you're just like, well, shit. I either have to tackle, try and waddle my butt over there as fast as I can, probably get maybe one charge attack in, crit draw if you're like me, and then he gets up, and you're just kind of hoping that if you're playing with anybody else that they're not as slow as you, so they actually get some hits on it. It's a tough life sometimes as a greatsword user, but oh so satisfying when you actually get everything right. But yeah, he will go and replenish his mud armor. Also, I'm sure you've noticed where he does his little shake like a dog and all kinds of mud flings off of him. Don't be scared of that. I have no idea what happened there. It pissed me off though. He will fling the mud like a dog. The problem with it is, well, if he has mud on him, you can get stuck in the mud. Also, that was a really bad true charge. I didn't read him at all. But if he doesn't have mud on him, fantastic time to hit him because he won't do anything. So keep that in mind. Also, when he has mud on him, that little slide thing he does, you saw mud fly off of him. Again, if he doesn't have mud on him, no mud will fly off. So half the battle with Barroth in the beginning is getting the mud off of him. Now, you're supposed to do this by using water. I don't do that. So, again, doing things the wrong way. I do that a lot. It also works a lot. You might also notice I have water blight, and I don't have any null berries. That's why I'm not sprinting around like a madman like I normally do. So, this fight can range from anywhere from kind of annoying to really easy. It's not, I've never, of course I never died to Barroth in 3U, and he was like a big wall for a lot of people, but Barroth hasn't really changed all these years. He's still kind of the same. He has pretty much the exact same moveset that I'm aware of. Wait, did he have one more in 3U? I don't remember. It doesn't really matter now, does it? But yeah, I'm just going to tell you, this is a little bit, I think, of a glitch, but I think it's more of just a, whoops, there was no room for you. Technically, his headbutt into the rock was done, but I guess I did it too early because I wanted to hit him in the head. Now, I will say this was not a particularly bright idea to do this in the head, because it's extremely armored, and I do, like, no damage doing this. Yeah, 28 damage. Not really good enough. If I'd done that on his back, probably would have been closer to, like, 80, 60 damage. Also, in situations like this, you really just want to kind of shoulder charge twice and true charge, because true charge cannot bounce. I have never seen that bounce. I don't think I have. No, I've never seen a true charge bounce on my memory. So you really want to do that. Of course, when you're still new to Barroth and you have no idea what he's doing, it's kind of hard to set up a true charge. You notice those red things on the ground back there? I didn't notice them myself. That's what I was talking about. Those will stun him. But, yeah, I was just basically trying to gather as much as we could and then come here. So that saved about 5 minutes because I was running around gathering everything. Now, this was a misplay. Like I said, I hit him with the first one there. I don't know if the second one actually hit him because I don't know what happened. Maybe his tail, like, I was standing on his tail, he woke up and then whoosh, I go up through the air. I don't know. I never really figured out what happened there. Also, fighting in the swamp is hell. Not because of, well, how slow you move or really anything like that. It's just... Okay, so it's because of how slow you move. You move a lot slower if you're in the deep water. Now, there is a mantle to help with that, but I don't use it. Because, like, the only thing that uses water that really sucks is the fishy that we'll be fighting next video. And his water attacks do, like, no damage. So I've never seen a point to using it. So, I mean, I'm just saying that's my reasoning for it. Don't know if it's good, but that's my reasoning for it. That's just a big screw you from the game right there. Make no mistake on that. Oh, you just all of a sudden you decide to get near him, and here you go. Here's some mud for your trouble. Also, he loves just destroying the only solid ground in the area. Tail swipe. You can tell I hadn't played the game very much at this point, can't you? To be fair, I don't think I'd fought Barroth since a couple... Well, actually, I guess that was really bad. I guess it had been since the beta. Which at this point had been about a week out, so not really much of an excuse. So I'm not really sure what to do with that. Other than just admit I suck. Of course, the one time I actually try and do the true charge thing, he just decides to go over there like a jackass. It's gonna happen. But as you can see, he has like no moves. I'm just not learning anything. That's all this is. That's why I keep getting hit. I'm not even attempting to learn anything. I'm just trying to brute force it. Again, you can usually get away with this if you have a green sharpness weapon. I don't, so this is a really, really bad idea on my end. Also because now I have water blight, which severely inhibits stamina recovery. Here comes the tail swipe again. Yep. It's just so... It would be funny if it wasn't so infuriating to watch myself be an idiot. That was a screw you. I will argue that one till the end of days. That, I mean, right before the third charge. Bonk. It's like the game knew and just wanted to piss me off. It didn't successfully, by the way. But it will later in the game. It will set me off. On some fights. Now this should be a fine one. Yep. His outer leg is usually the easiest place that's weakness, I think. You have to get rid of the mud, but I think that's a weak point. I don't remember, though. Because I don't fight Barroth very often at all. I mean, I guess that should be obvious. He's kind of a early game boss, so... just wait a minute. Okay, there we go. Wow, that did like no damage. That's a level 2 charge too. Or maybe that's just because this is really early game gear and I keep forgetting how little damage it does. Well, regardless, another few minutes, he'll be down. So, besides the charge, which is easily... As a greatsword user, your most hated thing will depend on how aggressive you are. If you're very, very aggressive, your most hated thing's probably going to be his head slam into the ground. Just because you can tackle it, but again, if he has mud, you're kind of screwed, because then you fall into the mud, then he'll charge you, and then you'll, well, eat some shit. If you're not very aggressive, the worst thing he has is probably the charge. I actually like baiting the charge. If you bait the charge, I'll tell you a trick. You want to stand far away from him. Almost every time you do this, he will, well, charge. So what you want to do This is going to sound totally counterintuitive. If you ever played Dark Souls, this will sound completely counterintuitive and stupid. But here's what you want to do. He charges. You turn around to your right, run, move a little bit to your left, basically go to his left, or your right, when you're looking at him. And then eventually you'll get a feel for how long he runs, and then his tail swipes to the right, so that way you're on the left side of his tail, and you get a really easy level 3 charge on his tail. That really helps. If you're having trouble with Barroth as a Greatsword user, that's the best thing I could recommend that you do. Just bait that charge, and punish it, because it's one of his longest recovery moves he has. The other thing is, if he's shaking off mud, I don't give a shit what you're doing. Get in there. That's one of your times to do massive damage. Take advantage of it. You might need a null berry afterwards, but even if you get blighted, I got blighted twice and I couldn't heal it at all. It's still very doable. You just have to be a little more careful with your stamina. But that's the one tip I'd give to greatsword users. They cannot find a time to hit him. Maybe you're bouncing. And if you're bouncing like I was, try and hit the outside of his leg. Just try not to hit his head. His head is extremely armored. I just want to see if I could do it, honestly. Break his head with, like, crappy gear. I did, too. I did. But it wasn't really worth it. Holy shit, this guy was here this early in the game? I didn't remember him this early. I guess that's a spoiler, but I mean, you see a guy once, you can't expect to see him again, so not really. I forgot he was here. So yeah, he's with, I think, these are the First Fleet. The First Fleet will play a rather large part in the game, I think. So we're gonna go talk to this dude. I don't really care about commentating on the story because I don't honestly care about the story. This is Monster Hunter, but I guess I'll try and play along here. Let's see. That's nice. I don't know who they are. I don't care. That's right. I have no idea what to say. This is kind of a generic conversation, really. What the hell am I supposed to say about this? That's nice, I guess. By the way, you will not see him again for some 40 hours. Depending on how fast you go. Could be sooner. Took me about 40 hours before I ever saw him again. He plays a big part in the story. They didn't do a very good job with the whole pacing thing at all in this story. Whatever. I don't care about the story anyway, but yeah, that time could have been cut down probably to about 12 minutes if I didn't bounce every other attack. But that's what the game's trying to teach you. Some things are armored, and you better adapt to it. There is no fairness here. If you go in with the same gear over and over, it's not going to be fair. It's going to be stacked against you. That's what I think the Barroth fight's supposed to teach the player. Yeah, you need a better weapon.